Namaste. Welcome to the beginning of another live Sangha. I'd like to begin our Shravana with an invocation to the Gayatri Mantra, following 3 Omkars that we'll do beforehand. So you're welcome to join along with me. Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. Namaste, dear Code Man. Thank you for the heart me that you have blessed our Sangha, starting off with today. Om Namah Shivaya. Hello, dear Kev, and thank you for your septet of roses and heart me too. Radhe Radhe. Namaste, dear Phoenix Witch. Hello, dear Hexakin. And the letter S. You might have to fight someone for that title of being the letter S. I've heard there's the only S, and they make their way around these parts sometimes. Namaste, dear Gregor-ji. You sure my beanie is giving beans. Yeah, like little toe beans. I got my cat ears in it. Thank you, dear Hexakin, for the rose you sent too. Hari Om Tat Sat. Namaste, dear Bal. Happy Diwali. And dear Maid Jartai Handa, thank you for your heart me and team bracelet. Om Kring Halikaye Namaha. Yes. Thank you for your love from Norway. Thank you for an additional team cheers. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. This beanie was from one of you, namely dear Marcy, who had crocheted it for my birthday, which was almost a month ago, but it finally arrived today, and I'm very grateful to be able to wear it. Adrian, you wonder if I know about lion's mane and if I recommend it. We just had a lovely mushroomologist. No, that's not actually what they're called. They're called mycologist or mycologist on here, and they were talking about the benefits of lion's mane and the ability to regrow certain neurons. So it's really good for your brain, your nervous system. I heard it's good for memory too. I haven't tried it myself, but it looks delicious, you know. It's like that perfect texture. I don't know how to explain it. Yeah, that's about as much as I know about it. Thank you, dear John Simon Ritchie, for the heart me that you sent to. Ram Ram. Dear Belle, you ask, what's my main religion? My main religion is that I believe in you. Humanity is my main religion, and I have faith that we are capable of doing great things together. Namaste, dear Renvox. Namaste, Eden. Yes, today is a sacred day. It's the second day, at least for me. It might be the third day for you, since I'm starting late in my time zone, of the Diwali festivals. Diwali In Hindi or in Sanskrit, Deepavali is literally a row of lights. And so it's called the festivity of lights. As such, I'd like to light a candle with you all in just a moment on the sacred day. But beforehand, I should tell you about this the sacred day. This day is called Naraka Chaturdashi. Chaturdashi literally means 14, or the 14th, meaning the 14th day of the month that we're in, namely Ashwin. And that's a lunar month, so it corresponds with a phase of the moon. I think it might be the new moon, if I'm not mistaken. Naraka refers to the lower regions of existence. It might translate to something like hell, but it's not entirely an equivalent concept as we understand hell in our colloquial English use. This kind of hell refers to the hell that exists inside of us sometimes, namely our inner demons that we struggle with. And today it is symbolic to consider the story of a form of the divine known as Lord Krishna, who on this day, it is said, thousands of years ago, won over the demon Narakasura, symbolizing the triumph of light over darkness, knowledge over ignorance. It is a time to reflect on our inner demons that we must conquer within ourselves and to embrace the light of divine wisdom and love. Spiritually, Naraka Chaturdashi reminds us of the importance of cleansing our hearts and minds, just as Lord Krishna cleansed the world of Narakasura's tyranny. It encourages us to dispel negativity and ignorance, allowing the divine light to illuminate our lives. This day is also associated with Abhyanga Snan, a ritual bath with oil and herbs, symbolizing purification and renewal. So we'll be doing a meditation at the end of this live stream in honor of this sacred day. And so I wish to light a lamp. This is actually an electric candle. And may this be symbolic of our own ability to shine our light, to cast away the darkness that may exist in our bodies and minds as well as the world around us. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yeah, I'll put that here. Namaste, dear Vanessa. Namaste, dear Scott. Yes. Fungi are some of the most intelligent forms of life. Amazing. They exist in their own kingdom. I still have yet to formally set the intention for this live stream, which I normally do before most guests arrive, but I thought that I'd wait until after recognizing the day that we are streaming. It is my intention for this space to be an inclusive one, open to everyone, regardless of background, identity, orientation, ethnicity, belief system, etc. There's definitely a lot of division in this world right now, but that doesn't mean that all of it has to be so divisive all of the time. And so I'd like to make room for some amount of bridges to be built in this space. May we come together to see the unity amidst our diversity, which in turn is itself a reflection of that infinite source that we all come from, that just cannot be expressed in one way in particular, but must simultaneously be expressed in a multitude of ways living through each of us. So thank you for being part of this universe together. May we come together as fellow students of life to uplift each other, relate in one another's experiences, and share positive sentiments, as I'm sure we all could use some of that right now. Hello, dear Athena. I'm doing quite well, thank you. Now, do I have any intuitive message for today? Whatever circumstance you may find yourself in, know that you don't have to do what is expected. You are always allowed to seek another option, and perhaps even one that no one else has pursued before in your family or your community or whatever it may be. Us human beings are blessed with the ability to think outside the box and never feel like you are trapped between two hard decisions when there is always a third. And thank you, dear John F., for the heart me that you sent to. Om Ganganapataye Namaha. And dear Separatio, thank you for your heart me as well. Radhe Radhe. Alright, so to start off our Shravana, typically I like to do a show and tell from one of you, submitted through the Google form that's in the link tree in my bio. Today I don't have one set up, although there are certainly some that we could explore. Like, for example, Maitreya had sent us many songs and we have yet to go through all of them. But there's another idea I have today, and before we start reading another chapter from Hollywood to the Himalayas, which is what I like to do in Shravana also, I wanted to share with you a video that the author of the book put out today about the sacred festivities that happen on Diwali. So I think this would be a good opportunity for you to see what our author looks like besides just the cover of the book that I show, and hear her voice too, kind of see her almost face to face as much as you can digitally. That might be nice, and then you can have a picture of her in mind as we go through her writings moments after. So allow me to bring up this video. It's very short, 5 minutes long, on the deeper meaning of Diwali.
Happy Diwali from these sacred banks of Mother Ganga to all of you, wherever you are in the world, sending you so much love on Diwali. And at this time of Diwali, as we light the beautiful diyas, remember, those lamps, they get extinguished very quickly. Maybe after 15 minutes, maybe after half an hour, maybe even an hour or two it lasts. But those diyas extinguish quickly. The real lamp that Diwali is meant to light is the light inside our hearts. So on this beautiful day, as you're lighting the sacred lamp, light it in your heart also. That light of love, that light of peace, that light of oneness, that light of togetherness. That's the light we need in the world today, with everything that is going on. All of the violence, all of the wars, all of the destruction, all of the environmental destruction. We need that light of caring and compassion and oneness. Light that lamp in your heart. And as you pray to Mahalakshmi, remember, she's the goddess of prosperity, the goddess of abundance. She's not the goddess of cash. She's not a bank teller. She's not an ATM machine. Real prosperity, real abundance is not about bills and piles of money and the number on your checking account. real prosperity is in that internal divine connection. It's being able to wake up every day and go to sleep every day in peace, in love, in gratitude, in joy. So as you pray to her, instead of the, oh Mahalakshmi, give me lots of cash, remember, she's not the cosmic bank teller. Instead, pray for that prosperity that actually transforms your life. So many people have so much money and they're so miserable. So many people have so much money and are on antidepressants and anti-anxiety medicine and sleeping pills. Simply having more money has no connection with that ability to be in deep joy and deep peace and deep connection. So pray to Mahalakshmi for that awareness, that realization of how full you already are. You're not lacking in any way. We've been created not only by the Creator, but of the Creator. And lastly, at this sacred time of Bhagwan Ram returning to the land of Ayodhya, remember, after Bhagwan Ram came back to Ayodhya, what happened then? It was Ram Raja. So as we celebrate his return to Ayodhya on this day, and this year especially, it's so sacred because he actually has returned to Ayodhya in this sacred new temple. But let us remember, after his return to Ayodhya, as Ram Raja began, that was not just a one-man show, a one-king show, or even a one divine being, God show. That was everyone together, all of the people of the kingdom coming together in peace, in love, in justice, in equality, in sustainability. That's what Ram Raja was. No one was poor. No one didn't have access to food or education. Everybody was healthy. The earth was healthy. People lived together in connection, in love, in friendship, in familyness. Now it is our responsibility. Bhagwan Ram has come. He's come literally to the temple in Ayodhya. And today we celebrate on Diwali his return. But now that responsibility is up to us to actually bring about Ram Raja by living in truth, in oneness, with justice, with equality, with sustainability. So let us all on this day pray for that ability, that strength, that light, that clarity, that direction. That's the real, beautiful prosperity to ask Mahalakshmi Ji to grant us with, to be able to be part of bringing back the age of Ram Raja, the age of righteousness, the age of integrity, the age of truth, the age of goodness, the age of peace. So, so, so much love to you all from these beautiful sacred banks of Ma Ganga, praying for all of you and all of your families.
And how ironic that such a wonderfully moving message on praying for the true kind of spiritual prosperity and wealth rather than material prosperity and wealth is followed by a video with infinitely many coins. Yes, no, Lakshmi is not the goddess of cash. That is who we prayed to last night, the first day of Diwali. As she was saying, Diwali marks the festivities that happened in the ancient kingdom of Ayodhya, which happened on Lord Ram's return. This was said to happen in an age long, long, long ago. Hundreds of thousands of years ago. A different cycle of civilization. There was a form of the divine named Rama, but he was exiled for 14 years and had to live in the jungle. But on his final return, 14 years later, after he had gone and slain the demon Ravana, he was able to become king. And so it's a very interesting story that follows from there, which is, what would it be like if a king were divine? If the divine actually came down and showed us what it would be like to have a system of divine government. And of course, it should be one where people come together in harmony, in love, and no one is left out. But on his return, people wrote mantras all over the place. They lit lamps, they hung tapestries, and potted plants were everywhere. Just a beautiful celebration. And so that is partly what Diwali celebrates too. However, on the second day of Diwali, we are celebrating something a little different in the story, as that same divinity known as Ram came back many hundreds of thousands of years later, which is only 5,000 years ago from today, as Krishna. And that Krishna, also engaging in yet another cycle of the story, killed another demon, or conquered another demon, not named Ravana, but instead Narakasura. And still the story is that all of these things are happening simultaneously within ourselves. And so may that divinity that you may know as Ram or Krishna or Jesus or Buddha or anything else, may that divinity that goes by many names and yet exists within all of us equally conquer the demons that exist within us. And may we come together and light lights and sing mantras and plant flowers and take care of our environment as a reminder of Rama Raja, as the King Rama coming to finally run this system, rather than having this system we call our bodies and minds in constant fight with each of its moving parts. May we have prosperity, peace, and light. Thank you, dear Ushabai, for your hand hearts and your hanging lights that you sent. Om Kring Kalikaye Namaha. And welcome everyone who joined while we were exploring that video from the author of the book that we are just about to read another chapter from. Without further ado, let us explore the next chapter, the 40th chapter, called In the Womb of the Mother. June 2007. Less than 200 miles north of Rishikesh, high in the Himalayas where India meets China, lies a sacred area known as Chardham, the 4 sacred abodes. There, each of 4 holy pilgrimage sites is home to a sacred temple at the source of a sacred river. 3 of these rivers join at Devprayag, the divine confluence, and it's here that the river Ganga is born. From that point, it flows 1,500 miles out to sea. Even though she is formed by the merging of 3 rivers, one of these, the Bhagirathi River, is worshipped as the Ganga, as the source of the Bhagirathi, the Ganga. think I put emphasis on the wrong words in that sentence. I'll just do that sentence again. Even though she is formed by the merging of 3 rivers, one of these, the Bhagirathi River, is worshipped as the Ganga, and the source of the Bhagirathi Ganga is the Gaumukh Glacier. This is the place where, according to legend, the goddess Ganga came down from heaven in the form of water and, by grace, stayed on to uplift and free the hearts, minds, and lives of those who came to her. Ever since I had first stood on the banks of the Ganga, I had yearned to bathe in the waters of her source, the Gaumukh Glacier, the sacred womb of the Divine Mother, and the womb through which she came. The mere mention of Gaumukh caused my cells to rearrange the way iron filings act in the presence of a magnet. Gaumukh was due north for every molecule in my body. It called to my heart. 11 miles from Gaumukh Glacier is Gangotri Temple, situated at 10,000 feet. Originally, the temple was much closer to the glacier, perhaps at its perimeter. But global warming has caused the glacier's tragic erosion, and it recedes by a depressing number of meters per year, farther from the temple erected in its honor. One must now trek 11 miles through high-altitude forest to reach the glacier beyond the town of Gangotri. The town lies 150 miles north of Rishikesh, but due to the narrow, winding, frequently jammed mountainous roads one must travel to reach it, the journey takes an entire day. After I arrived at the ashram, Pujya Swamiji, my guru, traveled there twice to attend events and invited me to join him, but I declined. I couldn't bear being close to the mother's womb, the glacier so near the temple, but unable to make the pilgrimage due to time constraints. So I waited till I could have it all, see the temple and immerse myself in the source of the mother. Pujya Swamiji's birthday is on the 3rd of June, during the hottest time of the year in India. The Indian summer, quote-unquote, is considered to be May and June. With school and government holidays and a tenfold increase in Indian visitors to Rishikesh. In May 1997, my first summer there, I sent my parents a David Letterman type top 10 list titled, "You Know It's Hot When." The list included, at 4 a.m., when you walk out of a cold shower, you need another cold shower. Your toothpaste melts in its tube and pours like water onto your toothbrush. The candle you light for morning prayers and then extinguish before leaving your room does a full backbend during the day, so that by evening, both the base and the wick are stuck to the fabric of your shrine. During my first experience of Indian summer, all I could do was laugh. Could it really be this hot? I was sweating in places I didn't know could perspire. Sweaty shins? But the Indians seemed not to mind enough to keep from flocking to Rishikesh for the holidays. Swamiji does not permit pomp and show for his birthday, except for the epic celebrations we threw him, surprises up to the last minute. For his 50th and 60th birthdays, he prefers he treat his birthday like any other day. It is foolish, he teaches, as many of the great saints do, to celebrate the natural process of age and decay of a vehicle. The body, he says, as much as we revel in its beauty, as much as its voice carries us to heaven, as much as a smile and the love pouring forth from its eyes wipe clean our slate of self-hatred, worthlessness, and insecurity, is just form. In May 2007, a decade after I compiled my top 10 list, Pujya Swamiji agreed that I could plan a yatra, a sacred pilgrimage for his 55th birthday. We had been to Badrinath and Kedarnath in the previous few years. We had trekked the wooded dirt path to Gangharya, and from there to the Valley of Flowers and Hemkund Sahib. We had been to Mount Kailash and Lake Mansarovar 3 times, but we had never been to Gaumukh. "Can we go to Gangotri?" I asked, nearly breathless with excitement. "Sure," he said. "And," I said, then paused. What if he said no? Would I burst into tears? Would I be able to see the perfection in that too? Probably not. I was attached to getting out to the source of the mother. "Can we trek out to Gaumukh?" The moment passed gently, and he said, "Sure." So, on the 30th of May, 2007, a fleet of cars departed Paramarth Niketan for Uttarkashi, the halfway point between Rishikesh and Gangotri. Uttarkashi lies geographically more than 100 miles from Rishikesh and only 35 miles from Gangotri. But the upper Ganga basin, the pristine, fragile, sacred ecozone between Uttarkashi and Gangotri, is so mountainous that the drive takes as long as the one from Rishikesh to Uttarkashi. We reached Uttarkashi by late afternoon. Pujya Swamiji had organized a special arti there on the banks of the Bhagirathi. In addition to Paramarth's special, world-famous arti, this sacred ritual, the evening happy hour, he had begun artis... Wait, how does this sentence go? In addition to Paramarth's world-famous arti, this sacred ritual, the evening happy hour, he has begun artis in more than a dozen cities along the banks of Ganga, including Gangotri, Uttarkashi, Rudraprayag, Jwalapur, Kanpur, Allahabad, and Varanasi. My mind was focused on only one thing: getting to Gaumukh. The arti was beautiful, extraordinarily so. As the priests and residents of this sacred town joined together in waving oil lamps, a ritual usually performed only in temples. Ganga is our temple, Swamiji always says, a 1,500-mile flowing temple. That evening, post-arti, local leaders came to meet with him to request that he adopt the local Gurukul, a Sanskrit residential school that had been horribly damaged in the earthquake a decade earlier and had never been rebuilt. The roof was collapsing, and most of the premises were unstable. It was only the devotion and tenacity of those in charge that kept it open. But now they were out of funds. If they did not secure help, the Vedashala, the home of the Vedas, would have to be shut down. "Of course we'll adopt it," Swamiji told them. We left early the next morning for Gangotri. Hairpin turn after hairpin turn up the Himalayas. I'm convinced that only a strong belief in reincarnation permits people to drive on these roads. Ganga rushes through the steep valley below. Ganga rushes through the steep valley below, while cars and buses in both directions vie for the narrow roadway perched between steep mountainsides to one side and a sheer drop to the other. Because the Himalayas are young, what locals call katsha, not really firm, they are prone to landslides and avalanches, and the roads to any other of the four Chardham Yatra sites are often blocked for weeks, especially during the rainy season. The local solution is to dynamite the mountain, then clear away the rubble. Boom! The road is wider. A temporary success, but the next mudslides are usually worse, because the mountains have been destabilized by the dynamite. and the boulders and dirt fall into the rushing waters of Ganga, choking the narrow river. And each time tourists complain about the landslides, the officials decide to blast more dynamite to make the road wider. As we drove through these mountains, I laughed at the bureaucratic and engineering absurdity, and I cried at the ramifications this has for the sacred mountains and those who live here. Finally, we reached Gangotri, and I ran down from the guest house to the rushing, icy waters of Bhagirathi Ganga, a mere 11 miles from her source. Promises to my mother not to drink the water were long forgotten. Made in another time and place, I scooped it up by the handful, raising my cupped palms to eager lips. I could not get enough. Palmful after palmful I drank. It was the sweetest nectar I'd ever tasted, and so cold my teeth began to throb. The water quenched not only my tongue and throat, but every yearning I had ever known as well. Early the following morning, June 2nd, as I laced up my hiking boots, the adrenaline rush began. I had spent many blissful weekends and vacations trekking, and backpacking through the mountains of California, Wyoming, Montana, and other parts of the United States. Trekking on dirt paths through winding redwood and pine forests was by far my favorite way to spend free time. Since moving to India, however, I hadn't done any hiking except for our pilgrimages to Lake Mansarovar and Mount Kailash in Tibet, and trips to Badrinath and Kedarnath. In 10 years, I'd laced these boots just a handful of times. There were two distinct yet intermingling levels of my adrenaline rush that morning. First, just to have those hiking boots on and know that in a few hours I'd be far from cars, roads, and buildings, and would be walking further and farther into the woods. My companions would be the trees. My vision would rest only on the path ahead and the wide, dense forest surrounding it. When I raised my eyes, I would catch glimpses of deep blue sky, ever still and present as the canvas for the forest and mountains. In a few hours my breath would draw more quickly, and my lips would part gently as my lungs filled with high-altitude mountain air, rich with sacred energy, but low in oxygen. In that slightly oxygen-deprived state, my mind would become deeply still. In years long before I had ever heard the words mantra or japa, I experienced their power hiking in the mountains. As I climbed the Grand Canyon as a teenager, we trekked from the river up to the canyon ridge, up hundreds of switchbacks to where our cars were, an elevation gain of almost 5,000 feet. We began in a group and seamlessly paired off into 2s and 3s based on hiking speed, but all I wanted was to be alone. I hiked more and more quickly to leave the chatty groups behind so I'd be surrounded only by the emptiness of the Grand Canyon and the heat rising from the sandstone. Soon I couldn't see anyone ahead or behind me. Oh, wow! Oh, wow! Oh, wow! I found myself saying over and over in my mind. Over the 6-hour hike, I sweated and became breathless and lightheaded, while something inside kept repeating, "Oh, wow! Oh, wow! Right, left, right, left, right, left. Oh, wow! Oh, wow! Oh, wow!" It stayed with me until I drifted off to sleep that night. By morning, I was left with the memory and a permanent impression on my 17-year-old psyche that I had merged with the Grand Canyon. Today, we would trek 8.5 miles to Bhojwasa, a tiny hamlet only a few miles from Gaumukh, the only place between Gangotri and the glacier where one can stay the night. There is a threadbare government tourist bungalow there, at which we'd be staying, and a simple ashram, Lal Baba Ashram, where some of our Yatris, fellow pilgrims, would stay. 8.5 heavenly miles in my beloved hiking boots, no task except to breathe, no sights except the winding path, no sounds but the rush of the river far below. I so longed for the silence into which I could merge with the pulsing of the trees, the clashing of the river against her rocky banks, and the songs of the birds. The second reason for my adrenaline rush was that each delicious step, each exquisite moment of merging with the mountains themselves would bring me closer and closer to Gaumukh, closer and closer to the sacred womb of Mother Ganga. As we began the trek through the ranger station gates bordering Gangotri, the path narrowed, and I wanted to sprint ahead to fall in tears at the feet of the trees, lie in comfort of the pine needles of the Himalayan cheer pine trees, roll and fall in prayer on the earthen path as it rose above the narrow river below. But I could not. The pull of the role I play in pilgrimage, the responsibility I had internalized in a decade of living in India, held me back. Sadhvis, renunciates, spiritual leaders, do not run ecstatically on mountain paths in hiking boots and plunge themselves face down into wet, grassy root of trees. They do not sob with each step. They walk agreeably, smiling with the group. They make sure everyone has water bottles. They stop for breaks when the group stops. They lovingly answer questions asked by fellow travelers as they walk. They pause so people can take photos with them along the way. But I yearned so desperately to burst forth, throw off my clothes, not just the robes, but every stitch of clothing as well, and merge into the mountain, just as Mira had merged into Krishna. Thankfully, after a few miles, the group organically thinned out. The athletes among us moved quickly, while those with knee and back issues, the overweight and the out-of-shape lagged behind. Pujya Swamiji was surrounded in front, behind, and on each side by the smartest, strongest, and most responsible, yellow-clad Rishi Kumars who had been chosen to join the yatra. Most were from these mountains, and being able to accompany the Guru on this sacred journey was the greatest honor. A small group of devotees, young men and women from around the world who had come to be a part of this auspicious pilgrimage, walked just behind Swamiji, interspersed with the Rishi Kumars. One man carried his thermos of warm water and offered it to him every few minutes. Swamiji set a pace for the group that was easy and smooth, yet also fast, which meant he was feeling great, so he was safe. I allowed my pace to slow ever so slightly, and I dropped back from the group surrounding Swamiji. He was still in easy eyesight. To lose him entirely from view would create a level of anxiety that cut straight through my bliss. The air grew silent, my breath became quiet, and the only noise I could hear, save for Ganga's waters below, was the sound of my boots on the path. Oh wow, had been replaced by a mantra given to me. As I walked alone on the mountain path, firm and stable in my beloved hiking boots, my mantra chanted itself, mile after mile throughout my body. At Bhojwasa, Pujya Swamiji led an arti on the rocky edge of Bhagirathi, zipped into ski jackets with wool hats pulled down over our ears. We sung and meditated as the frigid wind wrapped around us, lashing our noses and cheeks and bare hands. Our plan was to leave Bhojwasa just before sunrise the following morning and cover the remaining 2.5 miles to Gaumukh by 7 or 7:30 a.m. After praying and meditating at the glacier, we'd return to Bhojwasa for a hot breakfast, gather our bags and trek back to Gangotri. The only thing we needed for the walk to Gaumukh from Bhojwasa was a thermos of warm water, a bit of dried fruit or some kind of snack, and our cameras, of course. As I packed a small bag by flashlight that morning, one of my tent mates looked over. "Why are you packing clothes? We're coming back here on the way to Gangotri, aren't we?" "Yes," I replied, not in the mood for conversation but trying to be polite. "But I'm going to have a bath in Gaumukh, and so I'm packing for a change of clothes." "You are what?" she exclaimed, breaking the morning silence. "You'll catch pneumonia. You'll have to go to the hospital." "Possibly," I said, "but I doubt it. I need to take a bath there. There is no question about it. I can't not have a bath." The idea of not bathing in the womb of the mother was inconceivable. I was returning to the source, not just to take its picture, not just to pray and prostrate, but to become one with it. Nothing else mattered. My tent mate's eyes widened, and thankfully, she said nothing more. The sun began to rise, casting an orange glow on the east face of the mountain as we trekked 1.5 miles on the path, followed by more than a half mile of scrambling over boulders. Due to the fragility of the mountain, the last couple of miles before Gaumukh are a constantly moving glacial zone. There's no set path. Each fall of rocks or shift of the glacier changes the route. Some of the group stopped here, satisfied at having arrived content and blissful. They sat on the boulders and meditated on the banks of Bhagirathi, while the rest of us continued ahead, with agile Rishi Kumars holding our hands as we scrambled up and over the rocks. As I climbed onto a smooth, oval-shaped boulder, sitting higher than the rest and smoothed by the wet wind and rushing water during monsoons, I fell to my knees. There she was. About 100 yards ahead, a small cylindrical opening appeared at the base of a snowy rock-covered glacier from which frothy, foaming blue and white water rushed into the world. The womb of the mother. From that opening in the nearly 20-mile-long glacier, which no longer looks like the cow's mouth, Gaumukh, for which it is named, Mother Ganga flows onto earth. As I focused my eyes on the water pouring out of the glacial source, my peripheral vision faded. The mountainsides, the ground, and the sky all vanished, and only the source existed. I felt transported back to the beginning of time, to the place, the moment, the state of creation as it flowed forth from the Creator. It was from here, and it was happening before me and through me at this moment. The water flowed over my eyes without touching them and pulled down the lids. I sat still as an unborn embryo, my heart pumping only by the invisible cord that connected me, not through my belly button, but through every pore, every cell of my as yet unformed, undifferentiated being. A beating heart, an experience of chilled wet drops being sprayed by the wind, a gentle vibration of energy. This was all I was aware of. Eventually, the waters pulled my eyelids gently open, and I beheld my guru sitting on another rock a few yards away, his eyes closed, surrounded by beatific yellow-clad Rishikumars, backs perfectly straight, necks stretched to the sky, eyes closed as well. Into what historic reality had my eyes opened? What did 2007 mean? We were timeless, sitting on rocks, brushed by the breeze that carried drops of sacred birth from the mother's womb onto our faces. There had never been a time when the water had not flowed. She was eternal, the Creator. I was sitting in the lap of creation. Slowly I climbed down the rocks toward the glacial source. The umbilical cord in which I was wrapped drew me closer and closer and closer. The large boulders gave way to a pebbled pathway lining the narrow riverbed. The waters from Gaumukh are joined along with her 1,500-mile path to the ocean at Ganga. At Gangasagar, it's called, by innumerable tributaries ranging from local streams, small as they are, to the sacred Mandakini and Alakananda rivers. But here, at the source, she is not yet a wide river. The riverbed is about 15 to 25 feet across. The water is fast, though, being thrust out of the source by an unseen power, the force with which a mother births creation. I bent down and gently put my hands into the water just a few feet from where the mother goddess's womb opened. I yearned to touch the divine. The water was so cold, it burned. My hands felt as though I had thrust them into a yajna fire. The skin melting off them. It did not matter. I would die to be born. I would dissolve into creation. I picked up the brass lota, a traditional vessel used for bathing. I don't know where it had appeared from. I hadn't carried it with me. I planned to dip into the river myself, but unseasonably early rains and shifts in the glacial plates had made the river run even faster and deeper than usual. It was definitely not safe to jump in, yet there was no way I wasn't going to bathe in her waters and feel her with every cell of my being, inner and outer. And now the lota had appeared. I sat on pebbles at the edge of the water and filled the lota from the rushing stream. Closing my eyes, I poured the water over my body. My senses jumped awake with the shock of the temperature. Blood surging to my skin, and my racing heart were instruments accompanying me in the symphony playing loudly within me. Again and again I filled the lota and emptied it over my body, dying, being born, and being blessed again and again as the goddess poured over and through me. Who I thought I was washed off me and into the river. The makeup of my identity, seared off by the glacial water, ran down my body and trickled away over the rocks into Ganga. I poured and I poured, the tears from my eyes adding salt to the waters in which I was born. Bas didi, jal bahut thanda hai. I heard a faraway voice enter my awareness. Bas, meaning please. Aap bimar ho jaogai. Enough, sister. The water is very cold. You will get sick. Enough. My eyes opened as water was poured over them by my arm, which continued to repeatedly lift to fill and empty the lota on my newly born head. Through the stream, I could make out one of the men who lived and served at the ashram, a close friend, brother, and caretaker, standing over me, his hand outstretched, gently but firmly requesting that I give him the lota. "Enough, my elder sister," he was saying in Hindi. "The water is very cold. You will get sick." He took the lota gently from my hand and wrapped a towel over my shoulders. "Thand lag jaoge. You will catch a cold." Still sitting at the river's edge, I allowed him to take the lota and closed my eyes into the strong rays of the mid-morning sun. I was home. Thank you for listening. That is the end of that chapter. And how blessed are we to be able to go on that yatra, sacred pilgrimage with her to the source of Mother Ganga, perhaps the holiest river in the world, in the glaciers of the Himalayas, where she got to bathe in the womb of the Creator. Namaste. Thank you for participating in this Shravana. Now we can transition to our Nididhyāsana. No, sorry, I lied. That's at the end of our live stream. Our Manana. Welcome everyone who joined while we were reading. Namaste, dear Magdalene, dear Jay, dear Enchantress Theodora, my dear Azarays, hello dear Lisa Brunin. If you were feeling that one, I'm happy to hear that, dear Kev. Thank you to those who sent a gift as we began to read and read, such as dear Gina, for your trio of roses. Om Namo Gangaye. And dear Dr. Jenny, thank you for your pumpkin, trio of roses, and tiny Yippee! Om Gham Jakhnavyai Namaha. Dear Renvox, thank you for your horror candles. Ram. John Simon Ritchie, thank you for your pumpkin. Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha. And thank you, dear Dawson, for your baby ghost. Hare Krishna. Everyone here seems to like mine too, Kuala. I'm happy to hear that. It was a gift from our dear Sangi, Marcy, for my birthday, crocheted by her hands. Now I have revealed the question of the day already. You're welcome to think about it. But someone asked a very important question as we began reading. Allow me to scroll up to see if I can find it. Dear Athena had asked, how can we focus on the light if our environment is full of darkness? To me, it's a very funny question. And the reason it's funny to me is not because it's not an important question, or that it's not a question to take seriously. It's very important and it's very sincere. But it's funny to me because the purpose of light is precisely to shine in the dark. So how can you focus on the light when there's darkness all around? That is the very purpose of the darkness, is for you to be able to shine your light within it. It's not that darkness and light exist in the world, and darkness and light exist within you. Darkness is the nature of the world, and light is the nature of you. The purpose of the world is to have darkness, but the purpose of you is to have light. So if you're looking for light in the world, you will not find it. Any light that you find is within your being, the same being that you share with all the other expressions of that which illuminate this world together. All we have to do is recognize this. Your purpose is to illuminate the dark. So you should be empowered upon the sight of the dark, as that is your opportunity to be reminded of the light that could be here, that you usher in with your grace. Now, on to the question of the day. What are inner demons, and what can we do about them? Some of you have already began to answer, which I will very joyfully read aloud. But first, allow me to thank Jen, who sent a baby penguin. Nope, nope. Dear Azarays, you say it represents a quality, of compulsiveness, therefore a state of reactiveness. Thus, what can we do about it? Turn inward on the light of the heart, making the unconscious conscious. Turn the dark into light. How beautifully said. Yes, the best gifts are indeed handmade, dear Miss Bliss. Miss Bliss, you share inner demons are the things we struggle with, mental and emotional. We can have patience with ourselves and take it one moment at a time. Kev, you share that tonight your demons are M&M cookies. Is that so? Are the M&Ms causing your hand to reach out and pick them up one after another? Or is it coming from something within? Has there been a thought which we have put faith in that says, if I eat this, I will be happy? We have contemplated that I will get happiness from this. If you don't have that thought, then why does the arm reach out and pick up the M&Ms? You could be surrounded by M&Ms, but if you don't have that thought, if there isn't an urge to act on that thought, there will be no M&Ms to eat. Dear Jay, you share that inner demons are a valuable teaching tool. It's our human way of pointing to the path to peace. Indeed. And dear Marcy, you share that inner demons are flaws, but we can accept other beings' dark qualities without condoning or supporting, simply observing. Well said. They keep looking at you, shares Kev, and you keep looking back. And a cold, tall glass of milk from the kitchen. That sounds delicious. Hello, dear Hanan. I'm happy you find relaxation here. Ragnhildur, you share an inner demon, maybe associated with abandonment issues. Have grace and patience towards the self, and also go to therapy. Very helpful. There are many different kinds of therapeutic techniques and therapists, and if one kind doesn't work for you, don't give up. Dia, you share inner demons are chaos expressed in our conscious being. That's entropy in humans. Well said. Marcy, you're having apple pie with milk as your Sangha snack. I like that. I like how you all have Sangha snacks. I consider you all my Sangha snack because you're just so sweet and delectable. That's why I don't eat while I'm live. I'm already nourished by the sweetness that is the delicacy of the wisdom we all get to share with each other here. Hello, dear Dansuela. Dear Chuhan, you're wondering, where did I get that hat? I got it from dear Marcy DeFay, one of our Sangis here. She crocheted it for my birthday. Dear Doom Knight, you share that demons are your friends who encourage you on your path to Nirvana. This is a beautiful secret that all that we consider as demonic are also from the same divine source. And they give us challenges as the very opportunities to allow us to transcend our attachments. Secretly, all the angels and demons, they're working hand in hand. The angels are whispering to the demons, okay, now I want you to do this and this, and hopefully that'll inspire them, and they can be stronger and become out wiser. And the demons are going, are you sure? Oh yeah, of course, we'll have their back. Trust in them. Alright. Some part of that source has to play the antagonist for us to become the protagonist. Thank you, dear Starlight Wow, for your trio of tiny tinies. Yippee! I'm happy to hear that, dear Chuhan. You just got some saffron tea, shares Enchantress Theodora. That sounds lovely. The hero's journey is never simple, shares Thea. No, because we overcomplicate it. Life itself is simpler than simplicity. The highest nature of things is just that they are existing for the purpose of being. Yet we overcomplicate that. Our mind does, at least. But the mind is a powerful instrument. And when used in the right way, all of its complexity converts into the intricacy not unlike that of an orchestra. Once things are in motion, all of the difficulty that happened up until that point just gets washed away in waves of simplicity. I'm happy that you see a brother in me, dear Rami, or Reem. You can tell me how I can pronounce your name. Seems like that, dear Enchantress Theodora. Dear Donsuela, you share that inner demons are our lessons we have yet to learn from more. So beautifully said. Rimi. Rimi, what a beautiful name. Beautiful souls all around. Or beautiful expressions of the same soul, I should say. Sometimes it feels like we are fundamentally distinct from one another. But truly that distinction only exists in the way that one branch appears as separate from another on a tree. That if you follow each branch back in its origin, eventually they merge. And all of the thousands of branches on a tree are really just different manifestations of the same seed which sprouted forth all of them. So too, we are like branches on a tree, though we are unable to see our seed. We are unable to see the stem from which we all branch off of. But with a little effort over a long period of time, we can begin to become perceptive to that trunk of the tree in which we are all one. So that there is no you and I, there is only we, us. That is true for all our fellow humans. And if you follow that branch back, all our fellow animals, you continue to trace it back, all of the fungi, all of the plants, even the microbes, all a part of one being. The whole earth, the moon, Venus, Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, all the asteroids, all of the cosmic dust, the sun, our stars, our galaxies, the whole universe. Just one tree, which we're all different branches of. Dear Enchantress Theodora, you shared that you were happier when your hair was long. Is that causation or correlation, my dear? If happiness came from long hair, everyone who's bald would be unhappy. And everyone with long hair would be happy. True happiness is in the ability to feel like yourself, regardless of how that self is being expressed on the surface. To be able to know that the truth of your beauty is not found in the way in which that source is being expressed at the level of appearance, but in our ability to find ourselves within all expressions. Thank you for your love, dear Yenna. Dear Aiden, you share that you see I have many religious symbols. What do I say when people point out the difference? I say, we can spend lifetimes pointing out the difference, but never come to truth. But if you begin to point out the similarities, truth appears instantaneously. If you have to choose between this and that, then how can you ever be confident in your faith? If you feel like you might be right and another might be wrong, how can we be so sure that it's not the other way around? But if we know that there is truth in something we believe in, that is true for every other path too, only then can we have absolute confidence that we are on the path to discover that truth. Much love to you, dear Aiden. Now, dear Azaraes, you share that you're sure I'm aware of the analogy. People say that our hair is our antennas. Do I agree? And would I say it's beneficial in some way to grow out our beards too? You may notice that many spiritual figures have hair that may be non-traditional, and by traditional I just mean typical to the modern age. Definitely traditional to their ancient lineages, I'm sure. There's always exceptions, but you will generally find you'll see monks with bald heads or yogis with flowing locks. You never see a yogi with a buzz cut, you know? You never see a monk with a mullet. It's always either you let it grow or you let it go. And that's the spirit of spirituality. That it's not about trying to make something in a certain way where you're just making it like this. Not too much this way, too much that way, not too long or too short. You're trying to get it in just the right way. On the spiritual path, of course, there is the sentiment of just release. And you can take that in two ways. You can either just let your hair do its thing, whatever, or you can shave it off too, and that symbolizes another kind of detachment, renunciation. It's up to you. But you'll almost never see a spiritual figure in the morning, you know, combing their hair a certain way, getting the hair gel to just look like this, you know. Oh, it's too long now. I gotta trim it just a few millimeters because it's not how I like it. You know, we spend so much effort on our hair. How much of our life is dedicated to taking care of our hair? A significant amount of energy. That energy can be made use of a different way. And you can either keep it simple by just keeping everything clean shaven, or you just keep it simple by letting it do its thing. Either way, you are freed from the burden of having to deal with it. So much liberation comes from just no longer having to fit yourself into some mold of who you think you should look like as, you know? Because we have this idea, you know, the top of my head should look like that, my body should look like that, my legs should look like that, my wardrobe should look like that. That's a lot of thought and energy taken away from things that, honestly, when we look back at the end of our lives, is probably not going to matter as much as other things like, you know, the genuine time that we can spend with each other. Being able to bring some more love into this world, giving energy to some projects of creative kind, etc. But we can also take it another direction. There is an energetic phenomenon that happens when you cut hair. And it's a phenomenon that you're already familiar with if you've ever trimmed a bush. And I mean a literal bush. If you have ever pruned any kind of bushy plant, you'll know that where you trim, the plant begins to send more energy to grow in that direction. It's a natural phenomenon. It's a little counterintuitive. You might expect that if you cut off one side of the bush, that it would go, I'm going to grow on the other side where you're not bothering me. But that plant has a will to be expansive. Wherever you cut off that plant, it'll go, now I need to send the resources there to heal, to grow, to expand even more, stronger, flourish more. Same way, many monks shave their head to signal to this plant, you know, we share so much DNA with plants. If you really take a plant out of the ground and shake off the dirt of its roots, I'm not saying to do this while it's alive, and you turn it upside down, you'll go, oh yeah, that's its brain and this is its body and lungs and arms. It looks like the nervous system of any animal. If you've ever seen a fully deconstructed nervous system of a human, which is pretty gross to think about, but they do it for science. There's a brain, and then there's just all these branches of the nervous system. If you take a plant and flip it upside down, oh yeah, the roots are just the neurons of the brain, and then the main stem is like the spine, and then all the branches are like all the different branches of our nervous system too. Clearly, whatever percentage of our DNA we share with plants, it's in that structure. Similarly too, if you trim your hair, there is a kind of flow of energy that happens in the direction that you cut it. And naturally, there's a lot of symbolism in getting the energy in the body flowing upwards. Why? Because if you look at the hierarchy of the body, you'll notice something very interesting. Organs that we typically associate with lower consciousness is literally lower in the body. And organs that we associate with higher consciousness is higher in the body too. What's at the bottom of our torso? All the things that we even feel uncomfortable naming. And that tells you a lot already. You almost have to laugh to say it. Our butts down there, our anus, our genitals. Right? All of the things that are a vital part of our functioning as a human being, but yet not associated with higher consciousness. And as you go higher, it becomes less taboo. A little higher than that, there's our tummy. The tummy's good, but you know it's related to hunger, and hunger is still a low vibration. Higher than that is our lungs and heart. Well, breath is important, and our heart is associated with love. Higher vibrations. Our throat, my goodness, what would we be without our ability to communicate, to sing, literal vibration comes from there. As we go higher, we have our mouth. The sensation of taste is a very high vibration. I have to stop the alarm on my phone. Higher than that, we have our nose. Faculty of smell. We know that so many memories are tied to this faculty of smelling, the olfactory. Higher than that is the ears, where we experience music. Just a little higher than that is the eyes, where we literally see vibration happening at the electromagnetic level called light. And of course, higher than that is our brain, where the most powerful thoughts in the universe are produced. It is in this way that the ancient yogis realized that there are attractive points of consciousness associated with this hierarchy of the body, and those points are called as the chakras. And if you can get the attention in your body flowing a little higher, then you will live a much more expanded and elevated existence. So if we're messing with the flow of energy out of the top of our head, how can we expect the crown chakra to really flourish? We either have to just let it go, really, the hair, or we cut it off like the bush to stimulate the energy going there. And so this is the symbolism of hair in the yogic system. And thank you, dear Dawson, for your pair of baby ghosts. Om Ganganapataye Namaha. What a deep conversation over hair, shares Miss Bliss. We can have a conversation about anything and make it spiritual. That is what it means. Omnipresent. Everyone who's ever heard of something called God knows that God really likes this word, omnipresent. What does that mean? It means he's everywhere, right? But practically, what does that mean? Because it's not like you're walking around going, hey God, what's up God? See you over there, God. God's over there, God's over there, God's over there. At a practical level, God represents truth. The highest truth, the source of revelation. If you are able to find that same spirit in anything, no matter how taboo, then that is what omnipresence means. You can see, even in that symbolism in our society, there is truth. Even in the conflicts that are going on in the world, there is meaning. Even in all of the challenges that we have to overcome individually and as a species, there is a spiritual lesson to be found there as the source of revelation. Welcome, dear Jen. Yes. As a raise, you share, you heard Sadhguru state before that sadhus often shave their heads on specific nights for the peak. The rest of your comment got cut off, but I feel the essence of where this is going. The peak of flow in the body energetically. Ida and Pingala along the Sushumna Nadi. The two spiraling nadis along our spine, determined by the relationship between the aspirant of the sun and the moon. There are certainly different nights in which the energies are flowing differently in the subtle body. Note that this isn't about the physical body. You can look and you won't find anything of what these yogis are talking about. That's why you've never heard of a chakra dissection or a chakra implant. Oh no, my solar plexus chakra is failing. Can I get one from another person? Can I get a solar plexus chakra donor? Is there a list that I can find? You know, if you need a heart transplant, you get a heart transplant. If you need a liver transplant, you get a liver transplant. If you need a solar plexus chakra transplant, where do you get that? Well, scalpels and saws can only cut the flesh, but chakras are not of the flesh. They are of the next layer in our body called the subtle body. That is the body that you live in when you are dreaming. Because you don't take your whole physical body into your dream. If that were the case, then if the next time you have one of those dreams where you fall from a big height and you hit the ground, well, you'll wake up splattered all over your bed. Since that doesn't happen, there must be another body which you use in your dreams. And that's the body that has all the chakras. That's the subtle body. It's also been called the astral body or the dream body. Dear Rhiannon, your answer to our question of the day. What can we do about our inner demons? Listen to them and hear what the deeper need is. I love that. I love how everyone has been so thoughtful about understanding them rather than trying to eliminate them. Very beautiful. Dear Mirna, you ask, do I think awakening is contagious? Just ask a chicken. You'll know when the chicken's awake. Because the chicken lets out a cockle-doodle-doo. And if you sleep through that, you must be a heavy sleeper. So too, those who have the faculty to cockle-doodle-doo in their own unique way will sing according to their dharma, their own wake-up call for those around them too. Not everyone. Many people who wake up spiritually don't have a teaching function. They just continue to live their life, and people just think of them as that really peaceful person. And I think we all have someone like that. Someone who never even talks about spirituality or faith, but yet it's clear that they are deeply immersed in something like that. Even if they don't even practice anything that appears to be religious or spiritual. They're just that person who's always happy. Always blissful. Nothing ever gets them down, you know? They never make a big scene about anything. Just living through each day with gratitude. And that's truly all it really means to be awake. Because what we are asleep to is how much there is to be grateful for. That's what we're truly sleeping on. to wake up to what we have to be grateful for is 90% of the awakening process itself. And those who are grateful, just being around them, you feel grateful too. Isn't it so? Just by being in the presence of someone who's full of love, you start to feel lovely. And you might not even like that. In fact, it might annoy you. It's like, who am I? Every time I come back from hanging out with that person, I'm actually nice. I'm actually having positive thoughts. Ew. What are those? You know? Because we can create such an identity around being not like that. That we don't want to be positive. That's embarrassing. We want to be that edgy person with a dark sense of humor. We want to have a prejudice against the world. Anyway, sometimes hanging with those people, we come home and suddenly we're in a good mood, and then someone points that out. Well, what's gotten into you? And you go, oh, you're right. You're right. What am I doing? Yeah. But deep down, you love it. And we can be grateful for those people in our lives that inspire that in us. And thank you, dear Zadina Chorin, for the heartme that you sent. Om Kring Galikaye Namaha. And I'm happy that you're all aboard the train, dear Polly. May we also climb aboard that train that delivers us to the place in which we can find value in serving others. Dear Kev, you ask, so when we have vivid dreams, do you think we are really going there? Life is just a big, multi-dimensional treadmill. On a treadmill, your body is moving, but you're not going anywhere. When you play a video game, how it's programmed is such if you actually open the computer code that runs it, your character never moves. Your character's position is just being used to move the world under your character's feet and move the world around the camera. Sounds like that'd be terribly inefficient. You know, the whole world might be vast and this big. Wouldn't it be simpler just to move the camera and move the character? But what would that actually look like? Well, if the character actually moved, then you'd run off screen. You'd hold left on your controller and your character would go off the screen. You go, oh no. If the character is actually the one that moves, And there's not much of a game to play. You can just only play looking at one specific part of the world. So you might ask, why don't you move the camera along with the character? But what does it mean to move the camera? It means make the objects appear closer. Well, the only way that can mathematically happen is for the objects to come closer to the camera. The only way for the game to move along with your character is actually to keep your character still and have the world move behind. And it's the same with life. The whole world is our treadmill. You don't actually go anywhere. You've been in the same place as your mother's womb, from your birth to your first home, to your school, to your graduation, to your wedding place. Now, you've always been in the same place. You've never moved at all. Your body has moved. And the world is dynamic for sure. But as that reference point, the camera, you have been perfectly still the whole time. If you really did move, then as you walked forward, you would see yourself leaving. But that's not true. You've never gone, oh, I've gone over there. Wherever you've been, you've always brought yourself with you, whatever that means. But I trust you understand. Wherever you are, you've always been. And so that's always been the same for you. And it's in that place that we can always find stillness, even if everything around us is moving. The same applies for dreams too. The dreamer remains still, but the dream moves around the dreamer. Dear Hannon, you ask, why do I feel like I don't want any relationship because I love more people? That is the nature of divine love. Divine love just can't fit in one person. You can try. And that's what gets us into really codependent relationships, is those people who have love that really isn't meant for this world. So we naturally attract those that require so much love. The idea that I can fix them kind of love. Someone that might struggle with so many different things about their identity. Someone with a divine love naturally attracts that kind of person, because they have so much love that maybe someone who needs that much love is capable of receiving all the love we have. But even that is not enough. And I think eventually we realize that such love just can't fit in one person, no matter how dependent they are on you for love. For such people with such big hearts, I think there is a different destiny for them. That their love goes to many, many, many more places than just one. That is the path of a monk. And we've forgotten that there was always two paths available in this world. The path of a householder, the path of someone to discover love within another. But then there's the path of the renunciate, someone who brings love to everyone. But the word monk has become associated with going to the middle of nowhere and forsaking being a part of society, which is not necessary for being a monk. Being a monk just means that that the only way your heart can be satisfied is by placing no limitation on your love and becoming loyal not just to any person, but to that being which exists within all people. Dear Dia is asking about the sun chant, the Gayatri Mantra, taken from the first mandalam of the Rig Veda. Om Bhur Bhuvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. Om, the whole cosmos, Bhuhu, the world, Bhuvaha, that which is above the world, Swaha, that which exists in the highest plane, Tat Savituhu, that sun-like divinity, Varenyam, worthy of worship, Bhargo Devasya, dissolver of darkness, feminine divine, Dhimahi, we meditate upon, Dhiyo Yona, intellect of ours, Prachodayat, may you enlighten. This mantra is not actually for our sun. Savitri is not the sun that you see in the sky when morning comes until dusk. Om Bhur Bhuvasvaha, Bhu, meaning earth. Now that does indeed refer to our world. But Bhuvaha and Swaha do not refer to what's physically above our earth and the space beyond. Bhuvaha refers to our mind as that which is above the world. And Swaha refers to our consciousness, which is even higher than the mind. And it is in consciousness we find Tat, that Savitri, which is the true sun that illuminates our existence not from the outside, but from the inside. It seems as though we're looking at light that comes from without. As photons reach your eye, they hit your retina, but you are not your retina. As the retina, you don't experience the photon directly. Then a photoelectric chemical reaction happens, and a signal is transmitted along the optic nerve. But still, you're not the optic nerve. Then that signal reaches the brain and synapses fire correspondingly. But still, you are not the brain. Somehow or another, an experience of that image appears before you in your mind. But you are not the mind. You are the consciousness, aware of the mind. The image's light appears only because of the consciousness that illumines it. If there was no consciousness, then no light of the image would be appearing. So it is from the consciousness that the image is illuminated. So somewhere within you, or as you, at the subtlest level, you are like a spiritual, a divine sun that illuminates your sense of sight, sound, taste, smell, touch. You are a conscious source of giving meaning to these experiences, and mind too. So that sun-like divinity is Varenyam, worthy of worship. It is that sun-like divinity within you, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, that dissolves darkness, i.e. ignorance of the mind, whose rays are the feminine divine that we meditate upon. May it propel our intellect. Prachodayat. So the Gayatri Mantra, I've never heard of it. And actually it has so many more secrets that I'm not aware of. Yes. Gregor-ji, you are a very quick learner. Have you enjoyed the song that we chanted last night, dear Jay? We will be doing another to end our live stream tonight. I better spill them secrets. Alright, I can tell you one more thing about the Gayatri Mantra. Long ago, not in the Kali Yuga, which is the age of darkness that we currently exist in, but in the age of Treta, the third age, we are in the fourth, there was a great king. This king was one who had a very, very large kingdom that stretched all throughout the lands. In those olden days, it was common for kings to go on tours around their kingdom, to assess the nature of their kingdom. And there'd be a celebration in every town that had the honor of beholding their majesty. One of the towns that they passed through was just a little village where this king's guru lived. His guru was no ordinary guru. The guru of a king. Must be a great guru indeed. Their spiritual master was a Brahma Rishi. We've talked about Rishis before, which means a seer. That the Rishis were the ones who said to have revealed the first divine truths. But there are many different levels of being a Rishi. Just like in karate, you can have different degrees of being a black belt. Even though a black belt is so high, you can be a first degree black belt, you can be a second degree black belt, etc. there are rishis, there are maharishis, great seers, there are deva rishis, divine seers, and there are brahma rishis, seers of the ultimate. A brahma rishi has the qualification that everything they say comes directly from God. And if they say anything that contradicts God, God will make it so that creation actively forms to their words itself. Unfortunately, such a great spiritual being was not entirely respected by this great king. This Brahma Rishi had another secret. They had the sacred gift-giving cow, which in Indian mythology is this cow which you could ask for anything, and out of its udders would come just that. So when the king came with all of his armies and elephants, etc., the guru had walked over to the gift-giving cow and said, "O mother, may you manifest a whole banquet dinner for the king and all of his men." And so out from the udder of the cow appeared all of these tables and chairs and plates and every kind of delectable item that could be. What a great honor that is! But the king was much more transfixed on having that cow for himself than accepting the gift that came from it. So he asked his guru, the Brahma Rishi, "I would like your cow." Brahma Rishi said, "You cannot have that cow." The king did not like that. The king said, "I will take this from you." But this was a Brahma Rishi. He said, "It's not so. I am a Brahma Rishi. I have the power of creation at my hand, all of the elements. You will not be able to take it from my hands." The king tried, but he was very much unable to. The king held a grudge. So one day he went up into the mountains and he meditated. He meditated to Lord Shiva, a form of the divine, a form of God said to bestow gifts to anyone, even if their intention is not entirely pure, as long as you do the necessary sacrifice. This king had prayed to be able to have the forces of creation at his disposal too, to be able to be an airbender, a waterbender, a firebender, an earthbender, even a space bender. The most sacred element, Akash. But naturally, because his intention was not that pure, this would require a great sacrifice to be able to attain this boon from Lord Shiva. He would have to meditate not for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, not 10 hours, not a day, not a week, not a month, not even a whole season, nor a year, nor 2 years, 5 years, a decade, not 2 decades, not 5 decades, not even a century, not 2 centuries, not 5 centuries, but 1,000 years is what it would take to meditate on Shiva and have him bestow upon you the ability to have power over creation's elements. It is said that long ago, the lifespan of humans was much longer. that unfortunately we live in an age in which our lifespan is only 100 years. But long ago, it is said, in previous cycles of civilization, our lifespans were much, much longer than that. So, this king decided that he was going to do the sacrifice and meditate for 1,000 years. He meditated for a day. He meditated for a week, a month, a year, a decade, a century, and finally a millennium, chanting Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Finally, at the end of 1,000 years, God revealed himself as the form of Shiva and said, I appreciate that you have been meditating on me for so long. I am honored by your devotion. Whatever you wish for, grant it, or wish for it, and I will grant it so. This king said, I wish to have power over the elements. I wish to be able to move rock, water, fire, air, and space at will. Shiva said, Tadastu. It is so. He had now put himself in a position of being able to bend the elements. So 1,000 years later, he returned to that village where his guru was, still alive, and the divine gift-giving cow. The guru said, I hope that you had been meditating for repentance, because trying to steal from your guru is an unforgivable sin. Unfortunately, it was the opposite. He had come to face his guru again to try to steal the cow. Now, this time, with the forces of the elements too. You could imagine a great anime-esque battle happened. Picking up clumps of rock and dirt just with the power of the mind, hurling at his guru. And every time he would pick up some massive force of nature and send it towards his guru just had a little staff, and it looked like a little T, like a capital letter T. This was a staff that many gurus have, even today, and it's used to prop up their arm for circulation when they're doing long meditations. It became a symbol of great spiritual masters. Every time that this king would pick up a clod of earth or rock and throw it at his guru with the power of his mind, his guru would just pick up his staff, his pranayama danda, it's called, and it would hit it, and it would just become absorbed, all the energy. Well, if earth wasn't going to work, he would have to use the next element, water. So he summoned the force of all the water bodies nearby and sent this spiraling stream of water hurling towards his guru at breakneck speeds. Again, his guru just picked up his pranayama danda. All of the world's oceans became absorbed in his staff. Water was not going to work. He had to use the next element. Fire. So he summoned a great wall of fire that seemed to cover the whole of the earth and ushered it towards his guru. Again, held his staff up. All of that was absorbed without leaving a trace of smoke. He had to move on to the next element, air. He summoned a great gust of air, likened to that of all the tornadoes, whirlwinds, hurricanes, typhoons, storms. Sucked up all the world's atmosphere into his staff. He only had one more element to try to use. And that was space itself, creating a ripple in space, like a gravitational wave, like a black hole. Power of space itself distorting, everything becoming warped. A force of energy that you cannot see, but only its effects that it has on its surroundings. Even that got absorbed, and by that point, he had shaken the whole universe into disrepair. What more could be done? He had used the force of all the elements. He had nothing more. He fell to his knees and his guru shook his head. You should be very ashamed of yourself. All these years you could have been meditating for something good. You have meditated just for the power to try to destroy me. But you do not realize I am a Brahma Rishi. I have the force of God. God is infinitely much more powerful than any force of nature. I curse you to go back to that mountain and meditate for as long as it takes to be able to pay for your sins. And maybe, just maybe, by the end of it, something good will happen to you. So, as the king was cursed to the mountain, the guru hit his staff on the ground and the whole world began to heal. The air came back, the water, fire returned to all the torches, heat returned to the world, space was no longer distorted, the earth was healed. This time, when the guru went to the cave in the mountains, he meditated not on Shiva, but on Vishnu, who is the form of the divine, which is considered the savior of the fallen souls. And it's clear that he was a fallen soul. He was a great king with a great guru who he had disrespected and even tried to kill. Again he meditated, not for 5 minutes, an hour, a day, a week, a month, a year, a decade, a century. After 1,000 years, again, Vishnu came to him and he said, I am pleased, but your tenure here is not complete. I will make you a Brahma Rishi too. But your meditation was not as deep as it could have been. You will have to meditate more. What had happened? He looked back over the centuries that he had been meditating, and he had made one mistake. 500 years into his meditation, a bird had flown into the cave, and he cursed the bird. That was all. The next 500 years after that were of no use in the 500 years before. So he had to start all over again. Just one act of unkindness. So he continued to meditate. Minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, years, decades, century, millennia. At this point, he had been meditating for 3,000 years. Finally, Vishnu came, that I am very pleased with your meditation. I will grant you the title of Brahma Rishi, just like your guru. And he gave him a similar looking staff. Is there anything else I can can give you. This was a test to see if he still had any selfishness in him and would ask for something that only he could benefit from, or if he would ask for something that would benefit the whole world. And that's exactly what happened. This great king said, "O Lord, the coming dark age of Kali is now at our doorstep. In that age where there is quarrel and hypocrisy, where the rulers are not spiritual at all, but in fact only seek to benefit themselves, how can people attain prosperity?" And it was then that Vishnu gave him a divine vision of the future. In the future, he saw not an age of quarrel and hypocrisy, but people coming together with love and divine union, and on their lips they were chanting, Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. These sacred syllables were like nectarine goodness of the elixir of life to his ears. He said, "O Lord, what beautiful chant are they singing?" The Lord said, "That is the Gayatri Mantra. But the vision you see here now cannot happen unless you return to the present and reveal it to the masses. May you come back down from this hill after your millennia of meditation and share this mantra, which will continue to enlighten millions even in the Kali Yuga. That is your destiny." The vision disappeared along with Vishnu, and he was there alone in the cave, and he knew what he had to do. So he stood up, walked down that mountain, and here we are, 5,000 years later, and clearly he achieved his goal. Because I like to start all my sanghas with the Gayatri Mantra. Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. See, mantras don't come out of thin air. Each of them have very, very long stories attached to them. Mantras are only revealed either by Guru or by God, and the ones that we do know are the ones that the Divine had mercy enough to be able to share them. That is the short version of that story. The long version would probably take many days of coming here after long breaks to share. I only heard a short version that was an hour long. Or I think it might have been 2 hours. But even that is a shortened version of the full story. So much happened. So please forgive me for missing out many details and simplifying. But that is a summary of how the Gayatri Mantra came into existence. Now, thank you, dear Hybrid Jen, for your trio of pumpkins, your witchy kitty, and stinging bee that you sent. Om Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you, Dob Darker, for your harmony as well. Om Kring Kalikaye Namaha. Thank you, dear Lisa, for the rose you sent. Radhe Radhe. Now, let me finally look up the name of that dear Guru. Or sorry, the king who became a Guru, who became a Rishi. That king is known as, hold on. Where is it? Did they take his name out of the Wikipedia article? I know it used to be there. Vishwamitra. Yes. Rishi Vishwamitra. Of course, at the time he wasn't known as Vishwamitra or a Rishi when he was a king. It was only after he was made a Brahma Rishi, Vishwamitra, was he declared friend of the universe. Vishwa means universe, Mitra means friend. He was declared Brahma Rishi, seer of the ultimate, friend of the universe. Thank you, dear Dia, for the rose you sent to him. There's another equally powerful mantra from the Rig Veda. It even starts in a similar way, called the Mahamrityunjaya mantra. I wish to chant this one in honor of the rose you sent. Om Haum Jum Saha Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiya Mamritat. Om Swaha Bhuvaha Bhuhu Om Saha Jum Hum Om. But I call that one the cucumber mantra because it's a mantra that says, may I become like a cucumber. Specifically, a cucumber severed from its stalk. And that's a reference for our attachments. May we become severed from our attachments, just like a cucumber is severed from its stalk. Thank you, dear Rhiannon, for your pair of roses. Jai Sintaram. Now, can I tell you all about Ma Kali or Kali Ma? Asks Willow Core. Kali, she is every part of the feminine that deserves to be seen but is repressed in today's society. We call her Kali because she is Kala, dark, and like that of time, also called Kala. Time has the sentiment of being a destroyer in Sanskrit. Such is why when Robert Oppenheimer witnessed the Trinity test go off, he quoted the Bhagavad Gita, the 12th chapter, when when Vishnu as Krishna became his many-armed form and said to dear Arjuna, I am become death, destroyer of worlds. But that Sanskrit word which he quoted as death was actually Kala, which literally means time. So I am become time, destroyer of worlds. Kali is just the feminine version of that. You cannot have creation without destruction. For example, there is a lot of oppression in this world from systems that need to be, to put it in other words, destroyed or dismantled to be able to usher in something new. That is a part of the divine feminine. Force of creation, sustenance, and destruction are all part of Shakti, femininity herself. That is the definition of the feminine. To create, to preserve, to destroy. Kali represents that aspect of the feminine which is not deemed ladylike in our modern age. Kali is the one who screams at you to make change. Kali is the one that dismantles you and your pride. Kali is the one that stands up to injustice. Kali is the mother when something is attacking her children. Kali is that darkness that we do not usually attribute to the feminine, but definitely deserves to be seen and heard. And believe me, she will make herself seen and heard. It's said that we live in the Kali Yuga, the age of Kali, which is dark, not because she is making it dark, but because there is light that she is inspiring in us to be able to shine on all that which is considered dark. And that includes the voice of the feminine, the power of the feminine. Such is why in this age we see so much empowerment of the feminine in women's rights and feminism. That is all the work of Kali, and it is divine. However, she has her limitations. The traditional story of Kali is that once she starts, it's hard for her to stop dismantling things. And she only stops her destruction when she realized that she also accidentally hurt her child. So that is something that we also have to look for, is that as we begin these movements for change, just like Kali, who knows when we'll be satisfied, and it might be too late, in the sense that we've dismantled so much that we've begun to dismantle things that are dear to us also. And that is the danger of these movements too, is that they have the possibility of going too far. But that's all a part of the divine story. It's hard to rein it in, you know. Energy in motion stays in motion, likes to stay in motion. It is a law of physics. And energy is the nature of the feminine. Once you get the feminine to accomplish some task, you know, who's to say when that task is considered complete? Just like my mother when she's cleaning the house. No, I just gotta reach under there. I gotta clean one more thing. Mom, the ground is already so spotless. It looks like a mirror. Nope, gotta wash it one more time. I've been in my room, Mom. I can't go out of my room because I'm scared you're gonna clean me up. Put me in a trash bag. Anyway. Kali is diligent in her tasks, indeed. Thank you, dear Finwin, for your 20 roses. Radhe, Radhe. And dear Hybrid Jen, thank you for your rose too. Rama, Rama. Now, we've explored a lot in our live stream thus far, which I'm very grateful to have had the chance to do so with you. But it's time to begin to transition to the ending phase of our Sangha to wrap things up for the night. Hybrid Jen, you share that your kitty sent the rose? Oh. Well, let me say to your kitty, no, more stories. Now I really feel like a mother. It's time for bed. More stories tomorrow night. I've got to learn some more myself. We'll transition now from Manana into Nididhyāsana. Gregorji noticed a little colorful wisp above the Zoroastrian symbol. That was a recommendation of Dear Sophie as a symbol of the Australian Aborigines. One of their iconography is a rainbow serpent, which exists in their Dreamtime mythology of a part of the force of creation. I'm not exactly sure of the story, but a rainbow serpent, one with all the colors, is said to have spiraled around and whipped up all the different kinds of colors that we see in this universe. Something like that. It's a little hard to see when every other symbol is black, but I can't just draw a rainbow serpent that is only black. You know? A rainbow serpent has to be a rainbow serpent, so it doesn't stand out very well, but it's there. There's a name for a rainbow serpent you're aware of. Wow, that's a word I would have no idea how to pronounce. Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl, something like that. Happy Diwali, dear Charlie. That's great, dear Azarays. And on the subject of our inner demons and the question of the day, dear faithful being had shared that Nietzsche once said, never get rid of your demons. That's beautiful. All right, I'd like to end our Sangha with a meditation again, if you care to join me. As mentioned before, today is the second day of Diwali, or pronounced in Sanskrit as Deepavali, which literally means a row of lights, symbolizing all of the lights that were lit when Rama returned from his exile to become Raja Ram, King Rama, and the whole of Ayodhya lit their lamps. Also, today is the festivities that mark the incarnation after Rama, Krishna in his slaying of a demon, just not Ravana in Rama's case, but Narakasura. So I've chosen a mantra in honor of Krishna for the second day of Diwali, Naraka Chaturdashi. I'll tell you more about that. On this auspicious day of Naraka Chaturdashi, we commemorate the victory of Lord Krishna over the demon Narakasura, symbolizing the triumph of light over darkness, knowledge over ignorance. It is a time to reflect on the inner demons that we must conquer within ourselves and to embrace the light of divine wisdom and love. Spiritually, Naraka Chaturdashi reminds us of the importance of cleansing our hearts and minds, just as Lord Krishna cleansed the world of Narakasura's tyranny. It encourages us to dispel negativity and ignorance, allowing the divine light to illuminate our lives. This day is also associated with Abhyanga Snan, a ritual bath with oil and herbs, symbolizing purification and renewal. For our Sangha tonight, we will be chanting the following mantra 108 times to invoke the blessings of Lord Krishna and to foster spiritual illumination. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This mantra is a powerful invocation of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Being, who embodies divine love and wisdom. Chanting this mantra with devotion and sincerity can help in purifying the heart and mind, inviting the grace of the Lord into your lives. May the divine light of Krishna dispel all darkness from your path and fill your hearts with love and peace. This very well may have been the same mantra that Vishwamitra, the Brahmarishi from our story we were talking about earlier, meditated upon for Vishnu to come and grant him the title of Brahmarishi and allow him a vision into the future where the Gayatri Mantra was to be revealed. Om is the word that all mantras begin with. It's the pranav, it said the first sound. Just like in John 1:1, in the second creation story of the Christian Bible, it said that in the beginning was the Word, and that Word was with God, and God was the Word. To the Hindus, that word is Om, or you might prolong the initial Aum, and even make a nasalized sound after the M, as you transition from nasalizing on your lips to your throat. It is said that that became the holy word Amen, that many prayers in the Abrahamic faiths are ended in. This is the Holy of Holies, the sacred word of creation itself. Namo means salutations, and Bhagavate means the personal form of the divine. Because we don't just want the divine to be an abstract concept. We want it to be personal. Bhagavate means the personal divine. Vasudevaya means the form of the divine, which is all-pervading. So, Om, salutations to that all-pervasive divinity. May we become personal with that. We are going to meditate with someone chanting this in the background, and we'll do it 108 times together. I believe it even has some visuals that we can watch, so your eyes can be entertained too. Here it is. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate 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 Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om 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 Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om 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 Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo 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 Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om 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 Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Thank you for listening or chanting along. Happy Naraka Chaturdashi. Now going into the third day of Diwali, because it's very late for me, and for most people it's already the third day. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
रात्रि सोल से सारी अपडेट्स पाने के लिए बेल आइकन दबाइए.
Not sure what they said in Hindi, but I guess I still had a tab open. And happy Halloween too. And thank you for putting up with my tone deafness. It's very recent in my life that I began to explore the limits of my voice, and I know that the divine does not care if we're on key or not. Just the intention of our heart is enough to make music to his or her ears. You may have noticed that there is some variation in between traditional notes that we might have in our 12-tone scale in the West. I was learning about those with dear Gregorji. Those are called Gamakas, which are variations that exist in between the semitones, making semi-hemitones and other microtonal variation in pitch, which is very beautiful. And I would love to learn how to really do the Gamakas, as well as how to sing in tune at all. Anyway, I appreciate this ability to chant together. May you receive the benefit of my chanting if you choose to accept it. Regardless of your chosen faith or tradition, I hope that it does not interfere with that, as we all believe in the same divinity, just by different names. Some know it by Vishnu, some know it by Vasudeva, some know it by Jesus, some know it by Buddha, some know it by Allah. But whatever you call that divine, it must be a place in which we have all come from. And it is that divinity within you which I would like to offer the benefits of chanting to, especially if you didn't chant or were unable to for any reason. Namaste. And thank you to those who joined while we were chanting. Hello and goodbye to, and those who sent a gift while we chanted, like Suz Namaste. Thank you for your wonderful harpmi. Namaste to you. Namo Namaha. Namostute. That can be a mantra in and of itself. Just chanting. Om Namo Namaha. And thank you, Evable, for the rose you sent. Ram Ram. And Dan, how you? Thank you for your harpmi. Jai Shri Hanumate Namaha. And dear Anna Bowles, thank you for your trio of roses. Om Dham Namaschandraya. And dear Ragnhildr, thank you for your trio of roses. Om Kamalir Maha Kalikaye Namaha. Fun fact, it is from the Vedas that not only does the philosophical understanding of the divine come, but also treatises of music. And this is along with the Agamas. I should really specify, my goodness. The Vedas, along with the Agamas, one of the earliest revelations in the world. They're a storehouse of spiritual wisdom, and not just in dry philosophical treatises on the nature of the ultimate reality, but as expressed through technical ways of modulating your voice in song, in dance, and art as well. And that's a whole area of Eastern spirituality that I'm continuing to learn from. We've only just scratched the surface. Bonnie, you wonder, what did that chant mean? That chant means salutations to the divinity within everything. May we form a personal relationship with that. And if you ever want to listen to the mantras, I record the snippets and post them on my YouTube channel, Yamsox Lives. And at the beginning of each of the meditations, I do an introduction to the mantra and talk a lot about its significance. So I think that playlist may be a good way to learn many mantras and its meanings and join along with us as a part of sadhana, spiritual practice. I upload the readings there too, in case you ever want to catch up in our book, so you never feel left out. Basically a free audiobook. And the show and tell sections too that we do, if you want to see some user submitted talent or creativity, as well as the whole of the lives. And each video has a unique thumbnail and title and description, and a comprehensive chapter system for you to click on exactly the parts that you want to attend to. So I leave that for you as an offering if you want to explore that yourself. May this whole live stream be an offering to the divinity within you. Kali Maha Kali Kali Ke Parameshwari Sarvananda Kare Devi Narayani Namostute. I love that mantra. Anytime I see a mantra and a chat, I have to chant it. Thank you for being here, everyone. Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Mritangamaya Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat. Lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to deathlessness. May there be peace in our environment, peace in ourselves, and peace in the forces that compel us. That's my mother's favorite mantra. And she met someone with a name which appears in that mantra today, I think. She was telling me from the line Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, which means lead us from darkness, tamas, to light, Jyoti. And she met someone named Jyoti today. And she said, "Oh, your name means light." And she was so happy that someone knew the meaning of her name. She said, "I will do henna in your eyebrows for free. I want to do that for you." Sometimes the greatest gift we can give someone is just acknowledging the meaning behind some part of their life. And who knows what you can get in return. Sometimes all it takes is seeing the light in those around us. I hope to be back tomorrow, even on Halloween. We'll see. I don't have any plans, but my sister had told my mom that I was going trick-or-treating with her. So I probably should do that. But this was not something I had yet agreed to, but she had decided for me, I guess, and so maybe I'll go trick-or-treating. You might not see me tomorrow. Anyway, whenever I return, I wish to return with renewed vigor and understanding myself to be able to be a better host for you next time. So in any way in which I could have understood any of us better, I am sorry, and thank you for the opportunity to be able to improve in my own practice. Thank you to my lovely moderators for making this space more peaceful, keeping the peace. You all have wonderful holidays, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your afternoon, your night, your morning, your evening, whatever time it is for you. May you have a wonderful rest of your present moment. Namaste.